You know, I have to tell you, I love Halloween. I always have. You see, it's been a tradition in our family to have great Halloween parties because, well, my grandmother actually was born on Halloween. So because of her birthday, we always had a big Halloween/birthday party filled with all kinds of fun costumes, pranks, good food, and lots of laughs. And of course, when you're having a party, there are the decorations, and I always try to make some of them in advance. Before we go any further, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Gilbert H. Wild & Son, Ralston Family Farms, First Community Bank, as well as Sunpatiens, Super Cal Petunias, and Dragon's Breath Celosia, and Crystal Bridges, Museum of American Art. Check out my website to learn more about the brands we love. You know, it's a lot of fun to carve jack-o'-lanterns. It's one of my favorite holidays, Halloween. And of course, the jack-o'-lantern, well, it's the symbol of Halloween. But why have a jack-o'-lantern just sitting around when you can have them flying around? Let me show you how to suspend a jack-o'-lantern where you can hang it from a trellis, a tree, or your porch, like a lantern, as in jack-o'-lantern. What you want to do is carve your jack-o'-lantern in the way you would like. Make it as spooky or as friendly as you like. Open up the lid. And what I want to do is pierce through here 2 holes where I can run a dowel. You can use a dowel like this. This would be the largest you would want to use, or something even smaller. Just something strong enough to suspend it. Or you can use some sticks if you want it to look really old-fashioned and natural. And what I'm going to do is pierce this stick through the flesh of the pumpkin at about here and here. This stick will serve as the handle from which I can hang the jack-o'-lantern. So one of the best things to do is just use a cordless drill. I'm going to come down from the top of the pumpkin down to here, about 2 inches, and then I'm going to drill in like this. Over here, the same way. Then it's just a matter of taking your stick or your dowel and pushing it in and matching up on this side over here. Like that. Okay, now it's a matter of just making sure that our top still fits. It does. Everything's in good order. And now we attach the wire to the top to suspend it. And what I'm going to use here is just some steel galvanized wire. You can use any kind of wire you like. You could even use string or jute. But I'm going to wrap a piece of wire here on this side, like that. Of course, the thinner the wire, the better, because you want these to look like they're flying around above your head. So I'm thinking about like that. Looks good. So I'll mark that. Get me a little length here. Cut it off. Wrap the wire around here like this. Make sure it's secure. There we go. Put on the top. And as you can see, that'll hang nicely from a variety of places. One thing to think about is that these things will rotate around. I've often carved the back side of them too, because when you pop in the flame or some way to illuminate it, in this case I'm using these little LED lights that fire up, they don't create any heat. You can drop 2 or 3 of those in here, and it'll give you all the illumination you want. And without having heat in here, your jack-o'-lantern will last a lot longer. Anyway, it's a fun idea. Give it a try, you'll be glad you did. One of the reasons I love Halloween so much is it's an occasion that you can really kick in your imagination. Hey, I like to decorate, and these are really fun to create. These are ghost maidens, and they are so simple to make. Aren't they fun? They're maidens from 175 years ago in their antebellum dresses. But to make these, you want to be well prepared. I want you to wear gloves and long sleeves because the base of these, well, it's made from chicken wire. When you cut chicken wire, it can become prickly. Okay, now you want to pay attention to this part. It's very important. You can find these little tent stakes at discount stores, and they're very, well, essential because they pin the skirt down to the ground and will keep your ghost maidens from flying over into your neighbor's yard. Now, what's great about this is that you start out with this basic form. As I mentioned, you can use the cheesecloth and do really anything you want. while these girls looked spooky enough without heads, I thought, well, why not use alumina pumpkin as a head? So what I started out with was a 1/2-inch piece of rebar and drove it into the ground. Notice it's dark colored. I didn't paint it white because I want it to go away, disappear at night. Then I just pushed this pumpkin down over the top of the rebar gently, just by starting a little hole in the bottom of the pumpkin. And then from here, I just attached some more cheesecloth in the form of a veil so it'll blow in the wind and give it even a spookier sort of feel. The other thing that I'm going to do, at night, I'll be able to put a floodlight out here and just cast light across them, which will even bump up the spook factor even more. You know, I thought we might take a look at some fun ways to add to your pumpkin, where you can give them a little more personality. Okay, so we've got a nice big pumpkin here. I've cut the top out, you can see here, and I've cleaned it all out nicely. What I want to do is I want to actually use some of these grasses, and I'm just going to tuck them right in here like this, using an elevator. So that looks good. So why don't we talk about the face? And I just took these little mini pumpkins and I took a Sharpie and accented the eyes here. So let's go ahead and put some eyes on this pumpkin. And see, I'm just using these floral picks, and then the stick just holds it in place like that. All right, now for the nose. Why don't we do something like a carrot? I just took some vegetable oil and a napkin and wiped down the carrot. You can see it really brings out the color. And go ahead and cut a place out for the nose here. I want to cut a hole that's just slightly smaller than the diameter of that end of the carrot. That's about right. And there we go. The other thing you can do to sort of finish off the hair is just go out in the garden and find some things that, well, they've already finished up for the year and tuck those in like this. So there you go. Looks pretty good, huh? Now, some other things you might think about. I had some fun with this Cinderella pumpkin. I cut this out to match some vampire teeth. So just applying some vampire teeth. Isn't that wicked? From the garden home, I'm Alan Smith. Well, it's Halloween again, and tonight our neighborhoods will be full of all kinds of little ghosts and goblins and creatures of the night. But have you ever wondered where those ideas came from? Like so many of our celebrations, the traditions of Halloween are deeply rooted in our past. This all got started with the ancient Irish. They celebrated the end of their pastoral year on October 31st. They called this festival Samhain, and they believed that on this night, spirits came from the underworld and roamed the earth. When Christianity began to influence Irish tradition around the 6th century, October 31st was made into a harvest festival to celebrate St. Martin. Now, the day after this was called All Saints' Day, or All Hallows' Day. So the night before was Hallows' Eve, or Halloween, a combination of ancient Celtic or Irish lore and a harvest festival. I suppose the real symbol of Halloween these days is the jack-o'-lantern. Its history is also Irish. You see, there was this guy named Jack, and he had a terrible reputation for playing practical jokes on people. And when he died, he went to the underworld, and he dared to play a trick on the devil. The devil got so mad he kicked him out and made him wander over the earth at night with only the light of a lantern to search for his lost soul. Some say old Jack only had a pumpkin to carry his light in, hence the name Jack-o'-lantern. Now, we also have Jack to thank for the tradition of trick or treat because he was such a trickster. Have a safe and happy Halloween. I'm Alan Smith.
My name's Kevin Delaney, and we're at the Museum of Discovery in Little Rock, and I'm the Director of Visitor Experience. Science is constantly getting us to places we've never been before, and it's important to keep kids interested in it, and young people, and adults too, because how much do you remember from science class when you were a kid? We're going to be making some ghost bubbles today, because it's almost Halloween time, and a ghost bubble is a really great science demonstration that you can do at home, because you only need a few things. So we have some hot water right here, so I'm just going to pour a little bit of hot water into our bucket. And then we have some soapy water here. I used dish soap and glycerin and a little bit of water to make a nice bubble concoction, but if you have bubble stuff at home, you can use that too. What we're going to be using is dry ice. Now, dry ice is not frozen water. Water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, but this is carbon dioxide gas, which freezes at a much lower temperature, so it's about 109 degrees below zero. So if you handle it with bare hands, it could hurt your skin real bad, which is why I've got a towel and gloves just to be safe. I've also got some goggles on, so here we go. So we're gonna just put some dry ice into this warm water right here. We're gonna see what happens. So what we have here is something called sublimation. Now when ice gets really, really warm, it starts to melt into water, but dry ice is frozen gas. So when it warms up, it sublimates back into gas. We don't say melt, we say sublimate. So we have all of this gas right here. Now what we're gonna do with our bubbles are gonna create a little bit of a lid. So I'm just gonna put some bubble juice around the rim here because we want bubbles and then water and then more bubbles. So what you wanna do is just soak a piece of string or a piece of foam in bubble juice and run it across that top lid until you have a ghost bubble. Now this is gonna keep expanding because dry ice expands. It takes up about 10 times more space as a gas than it does as a solid. Let's do it one more time. Here we go. Oh boy. So it's gonna keep growing and growing and growing until that heavy gas gets so dense that it just falls. So it'll drop right to the table. So it's pretty cool. You could do this over and over again. But a really, really fun way to do it is with a special kind of water. Let's hit the lights. So what I have here is tonic water. Now tonic water has a mineral in it called quinine. And quinine is full of electrons that get really, really excited under UV rays. So we have all of our black lights here, so it's glowing. It gives off a nice blue light. So let's pour some into our jar. You can really see that glow, and that's just because those electrons are getting excited and they're giving off energy, and then energy turns blue on the visible spectrum. Put our dry ice in. Now there is your ghost bubble, made all the cooler by that glowing tonic water. Remember, that's just a little bit of quinine. You can get that at the grocery store too, the same place you buy dry ice. And there's your ghost bubble. Happy Halloween.
And its hat goes on like this. Well, this is the final step in creating this very expressive pumpkin. It's really easy to do. Let me walk you through the steps. First of all, you want to start with making a lot of bats. You can see they're exploding out of its head. The material list is very short. Some black construction paper, some floral wire, and some black pipe cleaners. All of that comes together to make something, well, it's a lot of fun. You can see this pumpkin's very surprised. So what you want to start with is a carved jack-o'-lantern, and make sure that the lid is really broad. Don't make it too small, because you want to be able to use it as a frog, if you will, or something to hold these wires coming out. And you can just use the flesh of the pumpkin to hold these wires in place. It's really that simple. And make sure the face is expressive. In this case, I wanted this jack-o'-lantern to look like it's surprised that suddenly its brains have turned into bats. So let's get started, and I'll show you how I made these bats. What you want to do is just take a piece of paper, black, or you can use any color you like, frankly, and take and fold it into thirds like this, you see? By doing this, with one cut, you can get 3 bats. So I'm just going to cut this out freehand. Start with the bottom or the base of the bat here, and here roughly in the center, and go up and down with one wing, then back up, and then all the way to the corner, and then back up to this corner for a spike on the wing, and then back down to the body like that. And then up and over and down for an ear, and then over at the top of the head, another ear like that, and here, and then we go up to the corner again for the top of the wing, and then drop back down like that. And it's just 2 scallops away. 1 and 2. So there we go. 3 bats. So what you want to do next is you take one of these floral wires and you put a little 90-degree turn on it like that. See? And then you take, in the center of the bat, you just apply some hot glue. You set the wire in it like this, and you take a tab of that construction paper and you lay it across there just to secure it. And then you just let that bat sit over here for just a few minutes until the hot glue dries. And while it dries, you go on to the next bat. And you just apply this one here, like this. Take another wire, 90-degree turn on it. Take a piece of your construction paper, apply it to the back, and let that bat rest and dry, okay? Now while that's going on, what I like to do is take some of these pipe cleaners. You see how I've stuck them in the top associated with the bat, is just take the pipe cleaner and wrap it around your index finger for those little curly cues like that, and then you just simply stick those into the pumpkin like this, just into the pumpkin flesh. See, they just fit beautifully. Now the bats are dry, and you can fold their wings up like this to give them a little more movement, and then you can just take that wire and tuck the bat into the top of the pumpkin like that. Isn't that fun? Easy to make. And I hope you picked up a few ideas for your next Halloween party. Remember, get out there and eat, drink, and be scary. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and be sure to ring the bell for notifications.